Episode 3 of the Passion Collective podcast. I'm your host, Zach Frank. We're here at the beautiful studio at Old Ridge, located in the heart of the Hudson Valley, Warwick, New York. And joining us today, we have TJ McFadden. What's going on, TJ?
Hey man, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. We're happy to have you. Hey, Ben, how you doing over there?
I'm chilling. I'm in my corner, isolating, social distance. Can't be too careful. COVID-19's real. Watch out, everybody.
So responsible.
That's it. You know me.
We applaud you.
We're
Thank
good,
you.
boys.
Thank you. Speaking of COVID-19, it's been pretty rough for the entertainment industry, live events and whatnot, bars and restaurants. TJ, I know you have your own company, Holstep Productions. Why don't you tell everybody what you guys do?
Well, we're an event coordination conglomerate, I like to say, because I do a lot of things. Mostly trivia nights weekly. That was my bread and butter. I went from doing 5 nights a week to none to two, and now back to one. it's 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 not really a joke. I try to laugh it off, but it's definitely become very hard to make a living lately. And you know, otherwise, I bartend and serve, and that's also been hit pretty hard. So, um, if you were looking for more trivia, you can always follow the page Whole Step Productions on Instagram or Facebook, and I like to post little informational videos or memes and infographics so you can get your little trivia fix that way.
Well, besides trivia, I know you've done a lot of music and art showcases in the past as well.
Yeah, those were fun, man. I actually just posted that about missing them, and it got a lot of likes because other people miss them too. Like those were such great times. I reminisce on that a lot. Um, I mean, those open mics at AOH built a lot of connections for a lot of people, and it was I loved watching people develop their own sounds or meet people and start bands and write and maybe come one week with a half written song and then like next week it's almost done and then the next couple weeks they play it and just develops into something really great, and I loved watching that happen for a lot of people. I miss that.
Yeah, I miss it too. It was definitely very special. A
Those
lot
were a
of
lot of fun. That was like just a thing to do. Was it Thursdays or you did it or
Every Thursday for
every
3 years,
years,
man.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
like there were some people. I mean, I know Static just left, but like he's one of those guys who was in there all the time and just like workshopping stuff. And it's such a nice thing to be able to provide that
It's really great
space,
to
right?
come here and see him. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, man.
For the viewers, I walked
Warwick
into
locals.
the studio and SC Static, Sam, he's in the middle of recording a song here at Old Ridge Studio, and I just didn't expect him to see him today. I haven't seen him in a long time. It was really nice.
yeah, the open mics were awesome. I definitely was there a lot. It kind of got me back into playing drums and taking my instruments seriously again. It's probably the one place that was responsible for that. When I first went there, I went there with SC Static and more on the hip hop tip. And then I just hopped behind the drum kit. And, fast forward a few years later, I am in 3 projects currently. Play drums every day if I can, and I've definitely gotten a lot better since those nights.
Yeah.
And taking a drum lesson after this actually. But like you said about forming projects, Jesse and I met Dexter there, and now so we have a band, Sonic Gymnastics. We played shows all over. We've done a bunch of live streams, and it's all because one of the Whole Step Productions events.
Yeah, man. I met Dexter there too. I remember the first time jamming with him, and this is when we had the open mic in the bar room, and Larry was there, man. I mean, so
Rest in
much.
peace to Larry Kidd.
R.I.P. brother.
Incredible,
Like one of the best drummers I've ever
incredible
played with,
drummers.
and a great friend. And I think about that a lot. I think about those times a lot because so much formative things happened in those years. Um, just meeting so many people, just like development, connect, like you know, time passes by and you don't always think about how you met these people and the connections and the things that you went through with them. But like, man, it's kind of a trip. It's kind of a trip to think about.
Nah, for sure. it's yeah, it's crazy. Hopefully, when this is all done, whole Steph can get back to throwing because trivia is awesome, and I know that's a way to make a living and everything. But like we just spoke about, the music and art showcases just they're special, and just getting that energy all in one room, a bunch of different individuals with their own unique talents, brings out something that gets
It was definitely a vibe.
yeah,
It's definitely a vibe.
for sure.
And I loved like having Ben and other visual artists put their work up on display and for sale while you just had these local musicians playing and everyone's passing out business cards and trading connections. And then I think we got some people, some bands in here actually to record from there. And, um,
Yeah, man,
one
there were a ton of connections made there, and just like people that we played with. I mean, I remember playing. I think I played once where I don't know, was it Elijah from what was Absolute Zeros, right? Which became Greenhouse Lake, and watching that band come together. Did they meet Joe there? I mean, that's
yeah,
like
they
that's one
did.
of those things where it's like that connection was made years ago, and Joe obviously played on your record.
I mean,
It's just a big community of people who just got together and played together and developed those connections that turned into bigger projects a lot of times.
I remember watching them start out and like
Yep.
it was always Elijah and Caleb,
Yep.
and they would go through different lineups, and then Joe eventually came in. They did the Absolute Zeros, and then the Greenhouse Lake record, and like just watching these kids grow up and like start to write better songs and better songs and better songs and become
And they
better
worked with
players.
Josh in the studio
And
too. And Josh
came
would
in
go to
with
the open
Josh
mics all the time.
again. Geez,
Yeah. Yep.
it was a special time. And I hope we can do some kind of reunion one of these days.
That'd be
Uh,
great.
That'd be a really great time, just a open jam, especially at the end of the night when you'd just be calling people up and you'd all sit in together. We'd have some great psychedelic jams.
That's what it's all about. So, speaking of which, you are a musician yourself. What do you play?
Mostly guitar, uh, bass, drums, a little piano. Not very good at it, but I try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of guitars you like to play?
Honestly, I mostly play acoustic. Like I don't really play electric unless I'm playing with people. So I write everything on acoustic and do a lot of like open or alternate tunings with capos and stuff. So I have a Taylor uh, C 310 CE, I think it's called. But it's a great like little acoustic electric guitar. Sounds great plugged into a Fender amp, and it's very warm. I'm not like really like a gear buff,
Yeah.
you know. So, but I've had the guitar for about 10 years, and I love it.
Awesome. But you have for electric, what do you have?
Lately, I've been playing a Telly that I,
Fender Telecaster.
yeah, a Fender Telecaster. I had this Gibson SG 61 reissue for a long time, and it was like back in the day. I got it because it was like a heavier guitar, it's mahogany, and it's like got this
That's
fat.
literally why I hated those. Is because the neck, it was so heavy, the neck would always just fall down.
Yeah, it
You
just
know,
like
it's just
tilts that
tilt
way
down
once
on
you
you.
take your hand off it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I used that like back in the day when we were playing a bunch of heavier music.
Yep.
And then it wasn't as versatile anymore. So I have a barber in town. Shout out to Tommy and Harriman.
Tommy and
Tommy's
Harriman?
Barbershop in Harriman, bro. So this guy cuts great hair, but he also fixes and buys and sells and trades guitars. And I ended up getting to talking to him one time, and I traded him my Gibson SG for a Fender Telecaster, and I love this thing, man. It can definitely do a lot more than the SG can, you know.
Yeah.
without distortion on the SG. Like you're not. It's too fat
Yeah,
to,
it just
to play
doesn't
clean.
have that clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for so on this album that we're gonna talk about that you recorded with your project Easy Talk, what did you use the Telecaster on that or?
We used a lot of guitars on that record. So we used my
Yep.
telly. We used Ben's telly over there. What model is that?
It's a Cabernet Telly. I literally, you're funny. You're like, I'm not a really gearhead. I'm the same way. Like, I bought that guitar because it has one knob and it's a volume knob, and that's it. I was like, I don't want any choices. I want a volume knob and a pickup switch, and that's it. And I love that guitar, and we got a lot of sound out of it.
I
A lot
think-
of different sounds out of it.
Yeah, I think we used it
your
a lot
telly.
because
Yeah.
it has like tellies are naturally a little twangy,
Yeah.
but that one especially like it's got a lot more high end in it. I feel like
It's got the soap bar pickup, so it's a little warmer, and I think it has a little crisper maybe.
yeah, a little
No single coils, so that makes a big difference.
Yeah. So mine has a single and a double, and then we used exclusively this bass, right?
I think you're right. Yeah. I don't know if
Um,
we have a shot of it up here, but
Squire.
It's a Squire Jaguar,
Squire Jaguar.
bass.
got the job done.
Great sound. Then this other Ibanez on the wall we used for some of like the
Alright, so you used like 6 different guitars.
yeah. So I can
Yeah, basically.
I'm just gonna finish doing the rundown, but this one is a like I don't know if you have a shot of it right now, but
Yeah, you can see
it's
it.
a semi hollow body. So like a lot of the open chords I use, this thing just rings out very beautifully, and then I have a custom Strat with a telly neck that I bought off this guy in Newburgh, and that's got like these pull pot pickups.
Pulled pot.
Is that what you call them? I don't know.
I'm just making a joke.
Yeah.
Just
Pull,
fu-
pull pot.
It's just fun to say. Yeah, it's just two fun words.
Yeah,
you know?
no, let's not talk about communism. But we use that, and then I have a old '76 Strat as well
Nice.
that we used for some of like the lighter.
Did you, so
stuff.
you recorded the whole record at the studio at Old Ridge, right?
That's right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
Right here in this room.
so
That's it.
how long?
Do you really want to ask this question before you before you ask it?
No. So how long was the recording process?
What did we do? A year?
Oh, I think it was more than that. I mean, I think from like first
Okay.
drum takes to last vocal takes is probably more like a year
So-
and a half ish.
Yeah.
So on the
For sure.
other side of that, the writing process of some of these songs. I know we spoke before. Some of the songs are older songs that you had that you just. Why was it important to bring some of these old songs from the past and give them the full studio treatment and put them on this current body of work?
That's a great question. I mean, again, like I said, I'm not like such a gearhead. I always considered myself a songwriter first.
Yeah.
So sometimes, as a writer, something will come out, and like, you write a song in like 10 minutes. What's that Death Cab song? The super popular Death Cab song. I'll Follow You Into the Dark.
Yeah, he wrote that in like.
He said he
used to keep an office. I guess Ben Gibbard would keep an office for songwriting. He'd go in like just to hold himself to it, basically.
Yeah.
This might just be like indie rock lore. I don't even know if this is real, but he went in that day to work, quote unquote, and he wrote that song in 15 minutes, and it was like, I guess I'm good. Like that's a pretty good song. I'm good for the day.
sometimes, yeah, man.
You're
That,
like,
and then like
I know exactly the feeling you're talking
that
about.
carries you out,
Yep.
but like
Exactly.
some things just flow out of you, and some things take a lot of time. Some of those songs took years to write, and so like when they were finally complete and I get into the studio to record them, some of those songs were already 5-6 years old. Yeah. That's why I'm really looking forward to the next record. But I guess to answer your question, why was it important to put them on? I didn't. Okay. You know when someone asks you a question and like you actually discover something about yourself while you're answering
Yeah.
it?
No, like it's funny because I feel this exact same way about my music. Is like a lot of the songs that I'm working on now, and like what your record feels like is like it had to happen. Like you had to release those to get past it.
Yeah.
Because we wrote a lot of those songs in a similar time, like probably like early mid-20s, right? And that's a weird time to be alive. You had some from Chicago when you were out there.
Yeah, man.
You know, like went through a lot of stuff. And it's just like you feel like you have to release that to get past it, and then you can focus on the next thing. But you can't just leave those songs. Like you invested time in those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's something like cathartic about getting that stuff out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I always say this, like, I'm the person who's gonna listen to this record most. Like,
Yeah, of
like,
course.
this is mostly for me.
Yep. Yep.
But you know how bad I was with song titles,
Yes.
and like how I just couldn't decide what to call things, or even the record.
There was a song
And-
that came out on the record that I didn't know had a different name until I saw it on the record.
Well,
I was like, wait, what's this?
that was the last song. It was called "Some of What I Am," and
Yep.
now it's called "On Becoming" because I realized halfway through the record that I wanted to call the record "On Becoming" because that's what the record is about. It's about growing up. It's about these experiences and moving past them. And I didn't fully realize it until we had these things recorded. I was listening back. I was like, oh, this is essentially the synopsis of the record.
Yeah, for sure. So who recorded on the album with you?
Well, Ben, first and foremost.
Ben Derland.
Ben,
At your service.
I mean, as well as doing the sound engineering and the producing, played drums, bass, some guitars, some vocals, some keys, right?
Just like whatever. We just slapped it together.
Jack
Yeah.
of all trades.
That's it. That's hey, listen, Studio at Old Ridge. You want to make a record and you're just one person? Come on down. That's it. I got you for everything except not anything past those instruments that he just named. But that's a good number of instruments there.
I mean, anything that I wasn't like really sure about the parts for, or like I couldn't like really nail down, like for the sake of time, I'd have Ben like play like a bass part or something, and we'd like slap it together that way.
So, but besides you two,
Joe Leonardo played drums on like half the record, I'd say. Josh Enger laid down some guitars and some textures, as well as lent an ear to the mixing, I guess I would call it.
yeah,
Oh,
because
for sure, yeah,
he's
yeah.
an audio engineer himself.
Yeah. So, I mean, Josh is like such an old friend of mine, and I came up writing and playing music with him, so I definitely needed his ear on this record, and
Yeah.
helped a
He
lot.
also like made the Our Bones record with me, and that was when both of us kind of like learned a lot about engineering, made a lot of those mistakes, and learned about engineering, producing, and then it became this like relationship that we had where it was like, okay, I've got this thing, can you listen to it? And we just had this like culture of feedback, so like having Josh in felt natural because we had already done it with Our Bones. And that's why we worked well together too for the Easy Talk records. Like we had a relationship, a musical relationship that way. So having Josh there just felt natural, felt like it had to happen.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
it was kind of like this learning as you go thing. that
It always is.
I really enjoyed. Yeah. Who else played on the record?
Gabe.
Gabe Jasmine, who like I didn't like really actually know, but we knew of each other because he ran an open mic at the Tuscan Cafe in Warwick for a long time, and also like he was part of the Naked Citizen. So I remember like back in the day playing shows at Doc Fry, and like playing. We were around each other a lot, but didn't like know each other. So I brought him in to play trumpet, and he came in the day of and played these parts like phenomenally, and it was huge. Thank you, Gabe. And then on saxophone, we
Do you want me to remember the name? Because I don't. It's terrible.
Just look to you like,
Yeah,
and on
like-
saxophone.
Yeah.
Like,
and on saxophone,
You just
Ben
got
Derlin.
No, not me.
Tonight Show?
None of those instruments.
No,
Is his name Dave?
no,
No, that's not Dave. Dave's the keyboard player you're playing with now.
Stevie.
not.
Let's just call out names. They do this on
Anyway,
Fake Doctors Real Friends. They're like, and
Anyway,
shout
moving
out
forward.
to.
So you had a bunch of people play on the record.
yeah,
And it took over, like you said, some of the songs are 5, 6 years old. And as a writer myself, I know how it is on both points. A, to being cathartic. I write stuff sometimes because I need to read it. like you said, you're gonna listen to this record the most, more than anybody. But then also, some stuff's not done for 5 6 years. It's changing. You're going back. You're
Yeah.
changing parts, and so how did it feel after some songs are that old? The recording process is over a year. How did it feel to finally get it done as a complete body of work and sit there and figure out the sequencing of the record?
It was incredible, man. I'm like such a procrastinator, so I don't know. Just saying you're gonna do something and then doing it, and something, especially something as big as this, you know, like really, like it gives you some momentum to move on to the next thing too. Because like a lot of these things, like when you're a creative person, they just live inside your head for so long, and like taking these demos home and listening to them and like saying we gotta adjust this or that, or like changing this lyric here or this syllable in the way that it hits here, like um, once you go through all that, these songs are never what you heard in your head. When it's all said and done, you're like, this is very, very different, and I'm glad it is. Um, but I think for me, the biggest part is knowing that I can do it now, so that I can do the next thing. Everything is just like kind of a hypothetical until you really, really get it done. So it feels great.
Yeah. What are what are some two or three of the most meaningful songs on the record to you?
Um, I think the first that comes to mind is "Trust Anyone," um, which has a very strange, like spiritual context for me, because I essentially wrote it before it came true. Essentially, the song. Um, um, Home is big because I remember where. You don't always remember like where you wrote something, but I remember where I wrote it in my bedroom in Chicago when I was living out there going to school. And then soon enough and sooner or later, I kind of pair in my head because not only are they like in the same key signature, but they kind of complement each other. And I love all the instrumentation in both songs. They both, um,
Those are two of my favorites on the record too, for sure. I
yeah,
mean, they just like they're songs you've been playing for a while. That every time, even before I was involved with Easy Talk, when I would hear those two songs live, those are songs you can't help just like jumping around a little bit and like headbanging around to, and just being like, "This is a fucking cool song."
thank you. And they also have like the saxophone or trumpet
Mm-hmm.
complement with the guitars that like trade off each other, which is really nice. And
It's
um,
fun to add those textures to a record that's like mostly guitar, bass, drums. You know what I mean? Like old
mhm.
school rock, like emo sound of just those traditional instruments, and then like slap a little brass on there. Mm.
I know, and people will like ask me what like genre the record is, and I'm so bad with that shit. Like, but I'll be like indie rock, but that's also like super vague.
I'm all about
And,
reclaiming emo right now.
and then I'll say
That's
like
it. Just
it's like
reclaim the title.
then I'll say it's like emo with like horns,
With post rock elements.
but not ska, but not ska. Like I don't know.
Emo with horns is good because
But
that elicits a couple different images in the mind. It's like,
oh yeah. All right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what to call it. So you just have to listen to it for yourself and let me know what you'd call it.
good plug.
Well, speaking of listening to it, let's listen to Sooner or Later. If Ben could pull that up for us.
Let's do it. I'm gonna cut to the camera angle. You can see all of us, so we can all bob our heads together.
This one actually started with the guitar, and then I think Josh came in and said, "Let's start with the," or no,
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 it started with it started full band.
full band, and
Yeah.
then we cut it back to start guitar, then add the piano when the band drops, and
That really brought this
it
song
really, really pulled it together. Yeah.
together. And here it is, Sooner or Later
So thanks, Josh.
by Easy Talk. Thank you, Josh Anger.
Late night spent wrestling my demons, wide-eyed, feeling much more odd than even. It's the bright lights that always seem to burn out too soon. Spin out until the wheels fall off. No doubt we'll be drinking way past last call. Just hold out. Something's bound to come your way soon. You might be able to fool everyone else, but you're still lying to yourself, and you can push it till the push comes to shove. But sooner or later, a man's gotta face his demons. There's a lot you don't know about me.
So that was Sooner or Later of Easy Talk's album on Becoming. Great song. What made you have the idea to want to put horns on that? Because
Easy Talk went through
I would not think to.
Easy
it's
Talk
pretty
went through
emotional.
several variations of like our lineup.
Oh, did you?
So like
To put it lightly.
there were a lot of different people who like played in like Dexter especially like started off with us. And, I don't know. Finding spots for these things, I think, was really the goal. Like, if you're gonna be like a part of the band, I want to like make a spot for you, and a lot of it ended up working out. And like one of my favorite things finding out on this record is the texture between like a trumpet and a guitar at the same time.
Yeah, I was
It's,
just gonna say, I
like,
don't think
awesome.
I don't
Like-
think that breakdown
And
that
not
you
a
just
ja-
heard
not
in
a
that
jazz
song.
guitar either.
Yeah, I don't think that breakdown works without the trumpet. I think it just doesn't hit as hard.
Yeah.
Having the
No.
trumpet, then
No, yeah, it works very
and
well.
the little slide, the
but
little glissando off of that, like it gives it life in a way that just like I don't know, it just makes it hit harder. It slaps, as the kids say.
It's,
it's lit, bro.
It's a bop.
slaps.
But no, yeah, it definitely does. But it's unique and it's original sounding, which is a very good thing.
Thank you, man. I grew up listening to like a lot of like jazz and Motown in the house, so I think some of that has to be inspired by that, you know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And who played on that record besides? Did Ben play on that?
That song?
Yeah.
You did no. Joe did drums for that song, right?
Joe was on
But you
Joe
did.
was on drums for that, but
you did bass?
I did bass and maybe some guitars.
Yeah.
I remember the bass line. I was like trying to get you to do it a certain way in the breakdown. You let me do one of the times through the
Yeah. And I think maybe the tapping in the second verse.
No, that was you.
That was me.
That was
okay.
you. Take credit for your tapping. Come on.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Bob.
There was one song though that I couldn't like get the timing down for the tapping, and I think you did some. But yeah, it's hard to like really say who did what. Honestly,
we have no idea. Is the long and short answer of it? Is like so much of it just. I mean, I remember the ones I played drums on because I've been obsessed with playing drums in like an actual band for my entire life. And TJ made my dreams come true.
Wow,
And let me play drums on this record.
Bro.
So
Congrats on checking that off the bucket list.
listen,
Yeah.
man, I was a drummer first, and then my friend was like, "No, I want to play drums. You play guitar." And this is in like 6th grade or something. I was like, "Fine, I'll play guitar." But I bought the drum kit, and I was
There
just
we
like,
go.
I just learned by watching Connor
Investments.
Crone play. That was it.
He's definitely good at slapping the skins.
He has fun, you know.
Yeah,
For sure.
he's the loudest player I've ever played with.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, for
He's
sure.
got zero chill.
No, but he has so much fun.
Yeah, he smiles.
I think ideally I'd like to play drums on at least like one song for the next record, but
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
play.
I was so like out of practice, and I did like for the sake of time, especially too. Like I didn't
Yeah.
want to have to do take after take after take to nail the click. And Ben and Joe are just much better than I am. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say much better.
I
I mean, I'm used to playing in the studio. It's like because I do it for a lot of different people, where it's playing to the click all the time and just like part learning, and I'm good at like those elements of the drums. But you get outside of that, and like the opposite of what Joe wants to do, he wants to improvise a lot and like throw in fills last minute. I'm like, no, this is how this part goes, and then this is how the next part
You're
goes.
both very different players, that's for sure. Yeah. But I
Oh.
mean, like, just part of me, like, what I mean is, like, part of me wants to do, like, the Paul McCartney thing, where it's just, like, everything, like,
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
love to,
yeah.
I'd love to say that I just did everything on a song.
Yeah,
one
that
of
would be
these
a
days.
great accomplishment. What song do you want to listen to off the record next?
You want to,
The Garden?
let's do The Garden.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do The Garden,
Do the garden.
which was a fun development, too.
I was kind of disappointed in your level of head bopping in the last one, you two. So I want some more head bopping in this
I
one.
thought it'd
please.
be weird if I was, like, too into it.
No, you have to be into it. That's the idea. You're selling the record right now, so we got to be. I was air guitaring and everything. You gotta.
Play the record.
Sue's had it already.
Nah, I want to listen to this record. It's a good song.
All right, here we go. This starts with some drums, Zoo. So this is for you.
I don't know. It's-
Here we go.
Well, my head isn't over you yet, and I'm not sure my heart is. Words were said, but they never were meant. Neither one of us honest. It's not like it's important. It's not like I've never been the one to change the sheets. I just thought this was different and couldn't be disposed of so easily.
Yeah, I'm playing this whole song. This is happening.
We made love in a garden. I buried my soul in your bed. We got
So that was The Garden
Sneak peek.
of Easy Talk's album on Becoming. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that you stream music. So tell us about that song, TJ.
That's a that's an old one for sure, um, and it took a lot of trial and error to really find what I wanted to do with the song, and I came to the studio with like maybe 75% of like the idea behind it, but again, like we blended these textures on it, so the walk down that reoccurs, there's da na 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 na. We ended up doing two guitars at the same time, doing that,
At least, yeah.
and then went to a series of textures with keys, and ended up on marimbas.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure. Like mini marimba sounds with a ton of this like washy reverb. Like that a lot of the record, but that song especially is kind of characterized by that really washy reverb sound where it's just like lush and big. And the marimba just came out sounding because it had enough like of a percussive sound to it, but it rang out nicely.
yeah,
and
I
was
wanted
warm.
like xylophone, like so you could hear the hits,
Right.
but like it wasn't coming through the right way, so we did that. Then lyrically, like I don't know, I think I might have even started writing that song lyrically in high school because I can remember like
Damn.
an
Wow.
experience that I had with a lady friend. Um, that like, I mean, none of these songs are like actually about one person or like one time,
No, yeah, of course.
but I think the idea behind it started even back then, and it went through like several different choruses, um, and then just like adding some filler riffs in there and like changing the drum beats. And I think that Josh and Ben like had a big part in making that second verse what it was because I wanted to feel different. And you came in with it's kind of more upbeat or like a funky pace to it.
I remember coming up with that bass line. We wanted to make it like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, like a little bit of interest in the drum and bass.
So I think really, you come to these guys with the song, and Josh and Ben did a great job of helping me flesh something out. It's like, you know, for these big hits, these major pop hits, there'll be like teams of like 40 people in a writing room. And
Yep.
I was lucky enough to just have these guys. And
Yeah.
Well, for that song for me is like the whole song is great, but what really makes it that like whipped cream on the top is that breakdown at the end. It's just like I mix that. I listen to that song so many times mixing it, and every time when that breakdown hits, no matter how loud I'm listening, I can't help but just like give it one of these because it's just so. And playing that live, the so
Yeah.
easily, and that downbeat, it just hits.
and
so
people have
hard.
said to me like you should have done that again. Like
No.
it should
Leave
have
'em
been
wanting
longer
more.
or whatever. But I was like, no, you just leave people wanting more.
That's it.
No,
that
of
was the
course.
idea.
So, speaking of which, before we wrap this up, what's next for TJ McFadden? What's next for Easy Talk?
So as far as whole steps concerned, I really have I don't know if I should talk about it, but I have a big idea that encompasses going around the local area and maybe doing some info videos on all the history of the Hudson Valley.
Cool.
So I'm really excited to start that project. Absolutely gives me something to do while I'm not like so busy with work, and maybe things will come back soon. Hopefully,
Fingers
to be back
crossed.
in the bars. Um, and then for Easy Talk, Ben and I have some talking to do, but I definitely want to do a bigger, heavier record that I have some songs written for. as well as like a very acoustic based record that's more up the alley of like maybe Owen or
I knew you were gonna say Owen.
yeah,
I knew it.
or like John Ralston or like some stuff like that. Like,
Nice.
Have,
Well,
have you heard the John K. Sampson record, Winter Wheat? You
no.
would like that. You should listen to that. It's the guy, the lead singer from the Weaker Thans, and he has an acoustic record, and it's I feel like it's right down your alley.
Yeah?
A little less like guitar intricate than I think you would be, but lyrically, it's like a lot about storytelling, some tongue in cheek kind of stuff in it, and it's just really really nice.
I'll check it out on my way
Everybody
home.
listen to John K. Sampson, Winter Wheat.
well,
After you listen to Easy Talk on Becoming.
exactly. Listen to that one. If you need a drummer to play on one of the songs on the heavier, if it's a heavy post rock type vibe, hit me up.
I mean, again, I'd love
I'm
to get like
down.
a bunch of people on this next record as well.
Yeah, I'm super down, and hopefully, some of these songs are just really translated live. So hopefully, everything can get back to normal enough, and Whole Step can throw a show where you can do an easy talk. Run through some of your favorite songs on the album live, have a bunch of guests.
Yeah, we never did a record release show.
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
I mean, that
So-
would be great.
That's because that's the kiss of death. Our Bones did our record release show, and then we didn't play a show again for like 2 years.
Well, luckily, if people want to check it out, I know you have a live stream set on the Studio at Old Ridge YouTube channel.
Yep, like
Go-
a stripped down set.
Go check it out. Easy Talk on there, and go listen to this album, guys. It's you can tell a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into it. It's just very raw and real and relatable, and great lyrics, great songwriting across the board. And if you like bands from American football to who else, brand new, older, brand new,
Yeah.
you're really gonna like this album. And go follow Whole Step Productions on social media. And I look forward to seeing what you do next, TJ. Thank you for joining us on the Passion Collective podcast. And my name is Zach Frank. So thanks again, guys. Check out the album.
What are we playing on the way
Thanks
out?
a lot, man.
We'll leave you one parting gift to get you ready to
Let's
go.
do the last song on the album.
Let's do On Becoming.
Let's do it.
Title track. Here we go.
Let's do it.